Hey everyone, how's it going? My name's Cloud, and welcome to my personal VOD reviews of Locals. In this episode, we'll be taking a look at Game 1 of Week 4 of the OP10 Meta, where I play Green-Yellow Yamato versus Blue-Yellow Porges D Ace. Here's the deck list that I played in this match, and if you haven't already done so, please go check out the Locals retro video I made that covers this deck list and my overall thoughts on how Locals went this week. Without further ado, let's hop into the game. Alright, we've got game number 1 for week 4 of the OP10 meta. I'm playing Green-Yellow Yamato versus Blue-Yellow Ace. And the first thing I'm gonna have to say is, it has been several weeks since I've actually played this match, since I did go on my trip. So that just means that this VOD review is probably gonna be truer to a kind of like a blind watch, since this match is no longer fresh in my mind, which means that I'm gonna be having to see what happens along with you guys. But I will say one thing I do remember about this matchup was that it was definitely grindy. So I think because of that, I'm actually gonna put it on ×2 speed just so that we can get through it. Hopefully that'll be okay. I wasn't expecting Blue-Yellow Ace this week, and because I'm also playing a kind of different build for my Yamato list, the match just ended up taking a while. My opponent was also just piloting Blue-Yellow Ace very well. Looking at the dice roll, I rolled an 8 and my opponent rolled a 9, so they get to pick. I do believe they decide to go second here, I want to say. So because I'm not sure, let's actually let this part play out, and I'll go back and I'll compare the opening hand to the final hand that we settled with. My opponent chose to keep their initial hand, so let's just wait till I finish shuffling and see what we get. I also just really want to know whether or not I'm going first or second, because that really determines like why I chose to mulligan here. Setting up my life. My usual hand shuffle here. Fist bump to start the game, and here we go. Okay, so I do go first. You know, one dawn past the turn there, but because I now know I'm going first, let's go back and take a look at our opening hand here. Alright, so in our hand, we start off with 4 costs Basil Hawkins, 2 costs Kosuke Hiyori, 2 costs Onami, 1 cost Tenguyama Hitetsu, and finally 5 costs Nami. Let's do our usual counter counts. We've got a 1k here, 2k here, 1k here, 1k here, and 1k here. So overall we have 6k counter in hand, which is very nice. You know, really large number. Every card is, you know, usable for counter, and we got 1 2k counter, so feeling pretty safe here. But how do the cards themselves stack up? I'm really happy to see Onami here, which means that like I can potentially go for an early banish play if I want to with my leader. And I'm sort of happy to see Basil Hawkins. The reason why I'm happy to see him is because if I'm able to establish him on board quickly, they have to deal with a card that can potentially trash their life, right? Let me put up Basil Hawkins on screen so that you can just kind of see the effect. But it becomes very annoying for my opponent to deal with, so I can potentially get multiple attacks off with Basil Hawkins, or if they decide to KO it, I can just immediately trash one of their lives. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this opening hand. Nothing really outstanding. I think the reason why I chose to mulligan here is because with my current deck list, since I am, you know, focused around the Arc Noah, and if you didn't know that, go back and check my Locals retro video for this week. But yeah, this deck list is running the Arc Noah, and because we're running that, I definitely want to try to get Hiyori in hand, since that's the key card in order for me to even put the Arc Noah into my life. So actually, you know, maybe mulliganing for both Hiyori and the Arc Noah. So let's go over to the final hand we end up on here. And I'm gonna try to pause it right after I finish shuffling here. Perfect. Thank you, me of the past. So in this hand, our final starting hand, we start off with 3 cost Mihawk, 2 cost Vanderdecken, 2 cost Flaming Dragon King, 5 cost Momonosuke, and 4 cost Kikunojo. Let's do our usual counter counts. We have a 2k in the Mihawk, 1k with Vanderdecken, and these two don't have counter, and we technically do have a 4k counter here with Flaming Dragon King, but I'm going to put an asterisk there because it is a counter event, which means that we have to spend Dawn to be able to play this. So, I'm going to say we have roughly just 3k counter because these are the immediately usable ones, and that's a very low number. You know, I'm not feeling too safe with this hand, but it's what we ended up with, but oh well. I am pretty happy though to see Flaming Dragon King. So if you don't know what this card does, let me put it up on screen here as I pull it up on the side. It says 2 cost counter up to one of your leader or character cards gains plus 4,000 power during this battle. Then look at all of your life cards and place them back in your life area in any order. Trigger, you may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life cards to your hand. Add up to 1 card from your hand to the top of your life. And so the reason why I'm happy to see this is because my deck's game plan revolves around the Arc Noah, I really want to know what's in my life, right? This card lets me do that. It lets me look at all of my life cards, and then also lets me reorder them. So if the Arc Noah is in my life, I can kind of order it in a way so that I can try to set up the Arc Noah to be kind of my finisher. So maybe around my second or last life. But if I don't see it in my life, which is also good information for me, I'll know that I need to find it from my deck and put it into my life. And of course, if there's any other triggers in my life, then I can just reorganize that to be the most advantageous for me. Besides that, this is a pretty bad opening hand. I have no early plays here, and I am low on counter, so pretty scary. Let's see how this game goes. 1 Dawn pass, my opponent draws and goes to 2 Dawn. They're going to tap 2 Dawn to play out the Kid Ace. Pass back to me. Ooh, I forgot how fast ×2 is here. Pass back to me. I just attach all 3 Dawn and immediately go 8k at my opponent's life, which they immediately take. That's good news for me. I mean, I know I just gave my opponent 2 cards, but it puts them into that 3 or less life range, which puts my Yamato leader ability online. So I'll take that. Continuing on here, opponent goes to their 4 Dawn turn, and they put down the 2 cost Teach. A very interesting card, but it helps their deck tremendously because now they are able to make use of their leader ability. So let me pause it here. And if you're not familiar with Blue Yellow Ace, I wouldn't be surprised if you aren't, but let me just go ahead and read out the leader ability. Porteous D Ace is a 5k power blue yellow leader that says, Dawn 2, activate main once per turn. Look at 5 cards from the top of your deck and add up to 1 character card with a cost of 5 to the top of your life cards face up. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. End of turn, trash all of your face-up life cards. So you can see why this Teach is very beneficial for my opponent. It lets them take 1 card from their hand, put it at the top of their life, attach 2 Rested Dawn to their leader. So now it's going to be plus 2k. It doesn't have to be leader, it can also be character. But right now it's attached with leader, but 2k anywhere. And by putting 1 card on the top of their life, they know that they can guarantee a 5 cost card at the top of their life. So, or at least within the top 5, depending on what's in their hand, right? So it just means that your leader ability becomes way more consistent in being able to add 1 card to their life. Plus, because they played out the Kid Ace here, we can kind of guess that within the top 5, they most likely have a 5 cost ace that they're going to put on their life, pop the kid in order to bring that ace out, and be able to either potentially have a blocker or rush, since the only 2 I can think of here is potentially the yellow 5 cost 7k power rush ace from starter deck 13, or maybe like, you know, the blocker ace 5 cost 6k power ace from OP07. One of the aces, you know. I could be wrong here, but that's just my guess looking at the board state. And there it is, the rush ace. So, okay, one thing to note is they put their trash here above their deck. I don't know if they were formerly a Yu-Gi-Oh player, but I know in Yu-Gi-Oh you put your trash above your deck, but in One Piece your trash normally goes below your deck. It's also because it's a little confusing since we do play out our characters on the top row, and so I didn't mind it, you know, it's fine. I know that this is just a casual locals, but be careful when you do something like that. In an official setting, you should probably put your trash, you know, below your deck so that it's clear. Judges can, you know, call you out for that. And it's just nice for your opponent so that you're not confusing them with how many characters are on board, right? We don't like cheaters here. Sorry. Just wanted to mention that real quick. They decided to go 7k at my leader. So, sorry, let's pause it real quick. Remember my opening hand, I only had 3k counter. There's no way I wanted to blow both my 2k and my 1k to counter out of this early 7k hit, because if I do, I just have no counter in hand, right? And because I have no Dawn active, I can't even use Flaming Dragon King. So, decided to take the hit. I believe it was another Vanderdecken, which, yeah, it was. And so that's nothing else we can do here. And then they go 9k with leader. So if you don't know what this kid, you know, kid ace does, then let me pull that up. These all come from starter deck 13. It pretty much says, activate main, you may trash this character, reveal 1 card from the top of your life. If that card is Portuguese D ace with the cost of 5, you may play that card. If you do, up to one of your leader gains plus 2000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. So this is very good for my opponent. Their leader is now base 7k power until the end of my turn. And because they have 2 Dawn attached, they actually go up to 9k. So it's a 9k swing. You know, seeing that, I have to take it because I only have 2k, 1k, 1k, 1k in my hand. I forgot that I think I drew a Vanderdecken from top of my deck. That's why I have an additional 1k plus the one I got from life. So if I wanted to counter out of this, this would have taken up a lot of cards in hand. Maybe I should have countered out of this first 7k swing, and then maybe take this life, or protect this life at least, but it's fine. I think having counters hands is going to be okay. So looks like I'm thinking about the trigger here. What card was it? It is 2 cost Hiyori. So 2 cost Hiyori lets me trigger, just play the card, gives my leader plus 1000 power for the turn. It is a 2k counter. I wonder why I'm hesitating on this. I don't want to trigger it because they only have 2 Dawn. Maybe I'm afraid that they're going to attach the 2 Dawn to Teach and then attack with Teach. But I have 1k counter here, so I don't need to do that. So yeah, I should have just put it in my hand. They play 1 Dawn to play Garp, picking up 5 cost Luffy, and then play another Garp. Alright. Little breather. Whew. Always forget how fast 2 times speed is. Turn passes back to me. I'm now at 5 Dawn. Got plenty of cards in hand here. Let's see what I decide to do. I just go 5k. Oh, okay, yeah. So I think the plan here was, you saw me tap my leader to go 5k double attack at my opponent, but I forgot my opponent is at base 7k, thanks to the Kid Ace. And so I think the plan was 5k with my leader, and then potentially play out the Momonosuke blocker I have in hand. So Momonosuke is a 5-cost blocker. It just means that I'm gonna have some defense, and I think the reason why I wanted to do that was because I see that they're probably gonna have a very aggressive game plan, knowing that their leader is gonna usually be around 7k, possibly 9k every turn. Plus they already have the Rush Ace on board. Makes me think that they're gonna be able to pull out some more attacks very quickly. So having a blocker just means I can use that blocker to defend from attacks. That's my guess, but let's see what I end up doing here. Oh, and my opponent reminded me that their ace is 7k, so he let me take back the swing. So nice of him for doing that. I tap 3 Dawn, play out Mihawk, which lets me play out Kikunojo. Alright, so I decided to establish a wide board. That's fine. You know, Kikunojo is a annoying card for my opponent to deal with, since if she gets KO'd, I can heal life since they're at 3 or less. But, you know, just a quick warning. I do have Basil Hawkins here, so I could have played that as well. But it doesn't matter whether I'm playing Kikunojo or Basil Hawkins, because this is a blue deck, which means that they have options, or they have bottom decking or bouncing available to them, right? And 4 cost is a pretty easy cost to answer in blue now. So this is a really risky move because they can bounce back my Kikunojo or the Basil Hawkins if I had played that instead, and I would have lost value there. I think the reason why I decided to play out the Kikunojo over the Basil Hawkins is because this is 6,000 power, right? Basil is only 5,000, so establishing a bigger body on board means that it's slightly harder for them to attack into. They have to commit more Dawn if they really want to try to kill it, whereas Basil Hawkins, lower power. If I wanted them to kill my card, then definitely Basil Hawkins would have been the better option, because it would trash one of their life if they KO it. But I think I'm just trying to go for higher power here, potentially whether it's like swinging into the ace or swinging into leader, right? 6,000 power just makes it easier to do. Additionally, my last thought here is keep the Basil Hawkins in hand because it is a 1k counter, right? If I quickly look at how much counter I have in hand, I have 2k, 2k, 1k, 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 right? So that's a total of what? 7k counter in hand? Pretty good. I'm gonna need every counter possible if they're gonna be trying to aggro me down. So playing out the Kikunojo just means that I got rid of a non-counter in hand. Finally, you saw me pass the turn to them. They're at 6 Dawn now. The reason why I kept 2 Dawn up is because I have Flame Dragon King. I think in this matchup, there wasn't really anything I could do to like try to play it earlier, because on my 3 Dawn turn, I definitely wanted to swing 8k. So leaving 2 Dawn up here is the best I could do. I guess I just wasn't expecting them to take 2 life off of me that quickly. So this is the problem with having low counter in hand. But at least now I have availability to actually that 4k counter, which actually brings up my total counter count to 11k. So feeling pretty safe here depending on what they do. So let's move on. They tap 1 down, Dawn, and play a Garp. 3 Garps. Sheesh. Really searching here. So let's see what they pick up. I have a total of 7 cards in hand. I want to say they have 5 or 6 cards in hand. I wasn't keeping track this entire time. If you're a player who can keep track of your opponent's hand size without having to ask, that's really good. But let's see. I think they have 6 or 7 now after that draw. But they took the 5-cost Luffy. Taking that 5-cost Luffy just makes me think that they have the Kid Luffy in their hand. So they start off with a 7k swing at my leader. I counter out for a 2 and a 1. And okay, they swing only 5k here with Ace. They tap their, what was that, 5 Dawn? And play out the blocker Ace, right? Yeah, this is the Ace I talked about before. I'll just throw it up on screen, but I won't read it. And then they pass the turn. Okay, one thing I wanted to talk about real quick is I had a missed opportunity here. I told you I left 2 Dawn up for Flame Dragon King, and I didn't use it, which is a little shocking because playing that card out earlier would have been more beneficial for me because it allows me to check what's in my last 2 life and then help me strategize how to play around that. But oh, sorry. And it would have reduced, or it would have allowed me to keep 1 more card in hand, right? Here, I'm giving up 2 cards, whereas Flame Dragon King would have been just 1 card from my hand. So, I think it's a missed opportunity. I think the reason why I chose not to play the Flame Dragon King is because they had 5 Dawn up. And I was afraid that they were gonna do something like play something for 2 Dawn. Let's start this over. Play something for 2 Dawn, so it would be minus 2 Dawn here. Just do that. Play something out, like a kid. Let's say it's like Kid Luffy, since I did see them take the 5-cost Luffy. Sorry. Kid Luffy. They can then use Teach's ability to attach 2 Dawn, those 2 rested Dawn, onto leader, making it plus 7k. And then they could pop the Luffy, just like they did with the Ace. Bring out the adult Luffy. Oh wait, first it would involve putting the... Yeah, there's a lot of steps here, sorry. Putting the 5-cost Luffy on the top of their deck with leader ability. Then from leader ability, or sorry, from teach ability, then leader ability, put the 5-cost Luffy into life, pop the Luffy. Then they can go up to 9k here, have a 5-cost Luffy on board, and maybe swing, you know, with the remaining 3 Dawn, 9k, potentially 12k, or maybe 9k and a 5k with Garp. So I was afraid of that bigger swing from leader, which is why I think I kept the Flame Dragon King in hand. Working it out like that, I guess this is a fine play, just because it means I'm safer from the larger swing. But it still kind of sucks that I'm not using the card to check my life, and I lost 2 cards from hand. So, makes me wonder how the game would have gone if I had done that instead, right? But it's a missed opportunity because they do just end up passing the turn. So, sucks for me. I'm now at 7 Dawn. And let's see what I do here. I don't have Hody Jones in hand, but I don't think Hody is helping me here. And I decided to just... Oh, that's right. They had a blocker. I decided to just go 9k at their life. And a 7k with Kikunojo, and I passed the turn. So, let's look at my hand here again. I gave up the Basil Hawkins during the counter. Oh, sorry. No, when they attacked with leader for 5k, I used Basil Hawkins to counter that. That was a little bit of a misplay too, because I do have Mihawk. I could have, on this turn, gone Mihawk, Basil Hawkins, which would have helped me go even wider with my board, right? I would be losing a 2k and a 1k, putting me in like less defenses in hand. But I think that's what I originally wanted to do. But the fact that I gave it up for a counter meant that I can no longer do that. So now the question is like, what do I do with my 7 Dawn? I could have attacked 7k with Kikunojo, and then maybe played out Momonosuke to heal one. That would have been too bad, but the downside to that is now I'm only attacking 5k with my leader at my opponent's life, which they have an easy answer to, right? They have a 6k blocker on board. So, looking at this, I think this play was fine. Attaching 9 Dawn to my leader and attacking their life just means that it either guarantees cards from hand, their life, or I get to kill off the blocker, right? So I now know the blocker's out of the way. And finally, with my remaining 3 Dawn, just 1 on Kiku for a 7k swing is fine. And leaving 2 Dawn up, again for a Dragon King. I think it's fine, but I personally, if I had to do this again, I would have liked to keep the Basil around to just go wide as possible. Going wide just means more swings, which pressures my opponent's hand, which I haven't been doing a good job with right now, right? They've been able to gain resources with their Searcher and the Teach, so it's a really hard, match for me right now. And this is crazy. So I think it was 5 cards in hand. Let's go back here. Yep, 5 cards in hand, and they decide to play Pudding on me. So I guess they knew that I was keeping Dawn up for something, right? This just makes me feel even worse that I didn't play Flame Dragon King early. Now I've just lost that only card because I only run 1 copy in my deck. That's what feels bad. Let's see what my new hand is here. We've got 2 costs Kozuki Hiyori, 4 costs Arlong, which has no counter, 2 costs, what's her name? Hiyori? That's right. How did I forget? 3 costs Izo, and 2 costs Vanderdecken. Okay, so even though I lost my Flame Dragon King, we ended up with, I think, more counter in hand, because that's 2k, 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 and a 1k. So, I lost Flame Dragon King, can't check my life anymore, but we got more counters, so it's fine, I guess. They attach 2 Dawn to their leader to use leader ability, search top 5, is able to find the 5 cost Luffy. Did they not use Teach ability? Sorry, I'm gonna go back here. Let's see what happens. They played 4 for the... 4 for Pudding. Okay, I think they did use Teach ability, because they still had 4 Dawn up. Yeah, so they used Teach ability, put that 5 cost Luffy on the top. Take 2 rested from their rested pile and attach it to leader. Is able to just take that Luffy, add it to life. Now their leader is 9k, or sorry, 7k. They haven't activated any kid versions yet. Still have 4 Dawn up. I have 5 cards in hand. Okay, wow, they go 10k at my Kikunojo. 9k. Alright, they decided to go 9k. I let it happen, it's fine. 9k is still pretty big. I'd have to give up 2Ks to protect it. I let it go just so I can heal 1. I think that's a fine play. Allows me to keep counter in my hand. And because I'm playing a more trigger-centric deck, having more life is good. So. They chose not to attack with leader? Did I see that right? Kid. They use Luffy to pop my Mihawk. Oh, okay. So then they attack with leader. And I decide to trigger the Basil Hawkins. Alright. That's what happens. Yeah. Why did I trigger? My guess is I triggered Basil Hawkins, which allows me to draw 2 and trash 1, because I wanted to see potentially like a Hody Jones or something in hand, since I don't have it now. Looking at my 5 cards originally, yeah, I don't have any strong plays to make with my 9 Dawn, since I will be going to 9 Dawn after they pass. I could play the Hody Jones, but that's just gonna make me trash a card from hand, and then I still have nothing I can really do with the rest of my Dawn other than attach it to my leader. I can't really play Hiyori here either to try to set up something in my life, because the only trigger I have is the Hody Jones, which lets me rest a 4 cost. Doesn't seem worth it, since there's nothing worth resting on my opponent's board. If I kept the Hawkins in hand, I could have potentially played that Hawkins this turn. But yeah, since I didn't see many great options in my hand for my 9 Dawn play, I can see why I chose to trigger. Get a little bit more search in, get some more cards, potentially find a better play. And I did end up seeing 2 of my Arc Noahs. So the trigger ended up working out, because now I can use Hiyori to set up my life. And I drew into my 3rd Arc Noah. I only run 3. That's crazy that I see all 3 right now. Right back to back. I was setting up this deck right before Locals, so maybe I just didn't shuffle well enough. I could explain it. Play the 2-cost Hiyori. I take the top life. It is an Onami. That would have been a good trigger, but it's fine. I can now potentially use that for banish, but I set up the Arc Noah. I play Vanderdecken to trash the Arc Noah from my hand and KO their ace. If you don't know what Vanderdecken does, I'll put it up on screen. He pretty much says, on play you may trash a Fishman type card from your hand, or trash a Noah's Arc, or the Arc Noah. KO up to one of your opponent's rested characters. And then here, I do end up actually playing the Arlong, so I trashed the Onami from hand. That's very interesting. I trashed the Onami from hand to play activate Arlong's on play ability, which lets me stop my opponent from attacking next turn. I wonder why I did that, because I could have always played the Nami. Yeah, I could have always played the Nami, put banish on my leader, and try to get rid of this last life. I guess it's not worth it since they're only at 1. It's a waste of my double attack, or more like my double attack is now useless. So preventing my opponent from attacking next turn means that I can try to finish out the game next turn. Plus I established a 6k body, since Arlong is 6k. That's alright, actually. Not too bad of a play. Sucks that I had to give up the 1k counter, but now I know my opponent cannot attack next turn, so it doesn't matter if they boost them up to 9k or even higher. I just saved myself from a devastating attack, right? They only have a 4k, a 3k, and 2k on board, so. And here's the one thing that I have been doing lately is, if I don't have good plays, I try to leave 1 Dawn up, and that's because I do play the, let's see, I always forget what the actual translation is here. Blaze Slice. Yep, sometimes I call it Flame Split, but Blaze Slice, it's a 1 Dawn counter event that can potentially give my leader plus 1000 power for the turn, and rest of 4 costs on their board if they're at 2 or less life. So keeping this up just means that I can potentially play that counter event, right? Could be in my life. I don't know what this last card is. I do know that this is the Arc Noah. They pay 2 Dawn to play the kid Lofi. attach 2 Dawn to the leader to be able to use leader ability. Bring out the Luffy, 5 cost 1. Pop the Luffy to play out 5 cost Luffy. And then they pop their 5 cost Luffy to KO my Arlong and draw 1 card. They're at, I think, 6 cards in hand I saw over there. And I think this is where he is troubled because he can't attack with his leader. So he's got 8 Dawn. What is he going to do with it? Yeah, I think preventing his leader from attacking 9k was a really smart move, actually. Because I'm at 2 life, they'd have to play at least 2 rushes to kill me somehow, or get my life down. So they end up attaching Dawn to their pudding. So they have 6 Dawn. I only have 2 2k counters in hand. I know my top life is the Arc Noah, so it's not worth for me to take this hit. I think I'm just deciding which 2k to give up, and I decided to give up the Izo. Why did I do that? I feel like keeping the Izo would have been a better play. Yeah. That's an optimization I could have made. I think keeping the Izo in hand is better because it is a card that'll allow me to rest a 4 cost or less. So if they do decide to put some kind of blocker that is 4 costs or less, I will be able to rest it, right? And potentially go for game. This 2 cost Hiyori isn't doing much for me. On play, it just gives my leader plus 1000 power for the turn. I don't have a Hiyori to put it in life. I don't have Momonosuke blocker to put it in life. So this card is feeling more useless for me. I don't know, maybe I'm considering something with the trigger. But yeah, I should have given up the Hiyori instead of the Izo. That's a slight optimization, so. Then they put down the blocker. So I guess it didn't matter, their blockers are 5 costs. And they didn't hit me, so my Arc Noah did not pop, which kinda sucks. Rip. But it's fine, I know it's there, right? And they're attacking me without having the blocker on field yet. If I took the life, then my Arc Noah kind of gains no value. So, it's fine. I'm at 10 Dawn now. I drew an Izo. Okay, alright. Came back from the dead, apparently. And, yeah, I'm in trouble. I don't have any bodies on board, or like any 5k bodies or higher on board. Only counter in my hand. They have a blocker. I think they have 4 cards in hand. So I end up playing this Hiyori. Interesting. Gives my leader plus 1000 for the turn. I use leader ability plus 1 Dawn to... Oh, okay. Yeah. So I forgot again, my opponent's leader is 7k. I chose not to take this attack back because I definitely want it to happen. But yeah, so this ends up being a 7k attack. I think originally the reason why I played Hiyori is because it allows me to rest 2 Dawn, which means I can use those 2 Dawns to attach to one of my characters. Gives my leader plus 1k. So I think the plan was to go 5k with Vanderdecken, potentially 5k with Hiyori, right? And then 8k with my Yamato. Since I did have 10 Dawn, it would have originally been just 3 Dawn on my Vanderdecken, thanks to my leader ability. Then with 7 Dawn left, yeah, it would have been a 5-8 split. So try to get 3 attacks in, try to attack their hand size, get the blocker out of the way. It makes sense. But because his leader is 7k, I had to attach more Dawn to my Vanderdecken to make it a 7k. Oh well. Let's try to clear that. Play. And I end up just doing a 9k swing with my leader. I left 2 Dawn up. It's because it's like potentially it's Blaze Slice and potentially it's Flame Dragon King, but I should have known that Dragon King is in my deck. So why am I keeping 2 up? Odd. Very odd indeed. Well, I hope you're learning from my, my plays, right? So they're at 10 Dawn. They have no life. They kept their blocker on board. They didn't draw for turn. That's right. So they drew for turn now. I think they have 5 cards in hand. I gotta work on getting my camera to be like able to see their hand so I can just see what their hand size is. Tap 2 to play Kid Luffy. They use Teach attached to the Rested Dawn, or it should have been the Rested Dawn. I don't know why they took their active Dawn. To their leader, put it. Yeah, so he's realizing it now. Yeah, so he should have been 2 Rested Dawn. It's fine, I let him do that. So now he's at 8 active still. They're going to pop the Kid Luffy to play out the bigger Luffy. So Ace is now 9k. And boom! He makes the mistake of attacking with his leader first. This is what I love so much about the Arc Noah. If they do that, right, he played out his characters first, then attacked with leader, which meant I got the most optimal Arc Noah play. So he attacks, I just freely take it, trigger, play the Arc Noah, and now their entire board is rested, including the blocker. So he has to now figure something out, right? He's in emergency, panic mode. He has 8 Dawn to work with, and now I have, some characters on board, and he's got no life, so he's got to figure out how to get out of this. He's going to tap 5, play Rush Ace, and he goes for the Vanderdecken. I have to let that go. I don't have counter in hand. It's still fine for me because he didn't play out a blocker, and oh man, no blockers. So I just attach all 10 Dawn to my leader and try to hit him for 15k. He's only got, I think it was 3 cards in hand. So I'm really risking it here. There's nothing else I could really do because I would have to attach 7 Dawn to one of these characters in order for them to swing. But that meant my leader would only be a 8k swing with my remaining 3 Dawn. So it's a gamble. There's nothing else I can do. Just go ahead and all in. Try to get this win here. 15k. They play Room. And okay, so Room, let me pull up this card here so I just remember what it does. Room, it says 1 cost, counter if you have 1 or less life cards, up to one of your leader or character cards gains plus 3000 power during this battle. Then set up to one of your characters with a cost of 5 or less as active. They gain 3000 power, so making their leader a 10k. But I think the more important thing is that they thought that they could restand their blocker and just use the blocker to tank the hit. But the important thing in One Piece, the One Piece card game, is that the order for battle is always this: blocker phase, then counter phase. So if you skip the blocker phase, you cannot go back. So he still could have played the event, right? Which could have let him restand his ace, but he can't choose to block with it afterwards. So this was a misplay slightly on his end, and I had to point out that per the rules. So he's now realizing, after I told him that he can't do the play he was initially thinking. Yeah, he only had 2 cards in hand actually. So Makino is only a 2k counter, which meant that his leader could only go to 12k total. So I end up taking the win. Yeah, couldn't block with ace, so the Arc Noah saved me. Let's see what the rest of my cards are. It was a Hiyori and a Basil Hawkins, so don't think any of those are saving me next turn, so I'm glad I was able to take the win there. Alright, I'm gonna stop here. This video is already 44 minutes long. Looking over at the recording, I'm so sorry it took this long. I was on ×2 speed too, but I guess this is what happens when, I don't remember the match too well, and I just want to talk about my match, right? Very interesting matchup. I think my opponent played pretty well with ace, so GG's. Until next time, remember, keep your minds fresh and your spirits free. See ya!